My expectations were really to be able to see all the stages in the groundnut value chain, things that would help me and my colleagues to improve the groundnut industry back in the Gambia.
The plan of the visit was to see all aspects of the Malawian groundnut sector. So the first day we visited a commercial farm, and it's owned by ex-agris, who are commercial farmers, but they're also training the smallholder farmers around the edge of their properties. I think this was a great experience for the Gambians. They are also smallholder farmers and they don't really see this big commercial farming. I think they were excited by the possibilities, the new farming techniques they saw, and the new farming methods and the much higher yields that they're gaining in Malawi.
ñu ko wax CG7 jàng naa fa lu bëri ndax ñun dañ yàgg a bëgg a gis machine bi bàcc gerte.
In the Gambia, most of the farming processes are done by draft animals, and I think they were very interested to see the differences, particularly on this commercial farm, where it was heavily mechanized. Some of the examples that they saw and the difference in farming technique was the way that the Malawians plant in ridges, in wide ridges, the high population of seeding compared to the Gambia, and also the drying methods. All this has led to a much higher yield in Malawi than they get in the Gambia.
We have seen how farmers dry their groundnuts without being exposed to water, without being in direct contact with the grounds.
In the Gambia, they just spread the groundnuts out along the top of the ground, which could be exposed to dampness or rain or moisture of any sort. But in Malawi, they use this Mandela cock, where they stack the peanuts with the leaves pointing outwards and the pods on the inside, with a hollow on the inside, so that the pods are protected from the elements and they dry in a controlled way. And I think the Gambians will certainly be trying this when they get back. On the second day we went to see NASFAM. We went to their head office to start with, so that the Gambians could learn about the structure of the organisation.
I think when we go back, we'll discuss with our authorities so that we can also reorganize our cooperative like NASFAM in this country.
After leaving NASFAM's head office, we headed out to Mchinji to visit the smallholder farmers. Of course, smallholder farming is the predominant base of both countries, so it was interesting to compare and see the differences. The yields in Malawi are actually pretty similar to the Gambia, but we very much have the impression that the farmers, smallholder farmers in Malawi are getting a lot more support now.
How it links up with farmers, how it supports farmers, and how it manages itself is really impressive, and really we want our farmer organizations to be that organized.
Well, we all know that both countries are plagued by aflatoxin, which is the biggest problem in the groundnut sector. The visit was fortunate, and it was timed also to join a major aflatoxin meeting in Lilongwe. Aflatoxin is a big subject, but I think the most impressive thing from the Gambian point of view that so much attention is being focused on this problem. We don't see that type of support is being given in the Gambia.
Back home, the average farmer is not aware of the issue of aflatoxin. You see, people even think it's just another way of saying we don't want your groundnuts. But I think from here, the presentation we saw actually show clearly the health implication and even the economic implication of aflatoxin and quality-related issues.
After this aflatoxin meeting, we went across to the Ministry of Trade. The Malawian government has a new initiative, the National Export Strategy, aimed at bringing more income into the country to develop exports, to correct the balance of payments deficit. And the emphasis is on particularly the agricultural sector, of course, as tobacco declines. And the main products they're trying to promote are indeed groundnuts and peas and beans and other legumes.
Malawi, we're trying to move away from thinking of the export of just crops towards products.
We've seen the effort that the Ministry of Trade is doing by having a national program on the control of aflatoxin. Probably this will be one of the things we need to pursue. Otherwise, our groundnut sector will remain dormant.
Research is a vital element in any agricultural sector. Malawi are fortunate in that they have an ICRISAT office. ICRISAT is a research institute focusing in Malawi certainly very much on groundnuts, and it gave the Gambian party an opportunity to see exactly what can be done. We visited all their main sectors. That we started with a tour in the laboratory, and again there was a big discussion about aflatoxin and methods of analysing aflatoxin. We went on to the seed department to look at how they develop seed, and of course, particularly for this mission, the development of seed for the confectionery business is very important. In the Gambia, they tend to have just one or two old varieties for the oil industry, but ICRISAT is making a big effort to try and develop good strains and seeds for the edible business.
In the Gambia, we do not have certified seeds, and I hope that this trip definitely taught us a good lessons to know that the quality of produce that you expect at the end of the day will have to come out from the seeds that you are planting.
We also looked at their research into diseases. They have a whole lot of trials going on in greenhouses for all sorts of diseases.
Basically what we're seeing here is a selection process or a screening process. We have a population that we have developed, and we've exposed this population to high disease pressure.
The varietal screening process that was going on, especially in the resistance trials on rosette, I was very much impressed with the way they culture the aphids and the way they go back to the fields to infect their trials.
And they also demonstrated some of the practical low-tech ways that you can help in the processing at farm level, for stripping peanuts, for example. And even further up the scale, a little bit of processing, making peanut butter. We have several research people in this party, and they were very interested to discuss the whole issue again of aflatoxin with the Malawian scientist.
The problems in Malawi and Gambia are identical, but the efforts being made now in Malawi are impressive, and we have seen how much efforts they are making to get out of the situation.
Someday.
Finally, we visited the processing sector. We visited Afrinut. Afrinut concentrates on groundnuts and processing groundnuts. And the idea of Afrinut was to develop not only good quality raw peanuts, but also to develop some good added value products. So within the plant they have the facility to clean, sort and grade, to make blanched peanuts, to make peanut paste, peanut butter and roasted peanuts. I think this is key to the Gambian visit, because one of the main objectives is to try and broaden their horizons and look at the added value and the opportunities beyond just oil. We also had a look at the Afrinut laboratory. It's a small laboratory, but very similar to those being used in the Gambia, particularly at their main processing unit, the GGC. So I think there was a very good opportunity for them to compare notes. Peanut paste is an essential ingredient in RUTF, ready-to-use therapeutic foods. And the peanut paste goes to a company called Valid Nutrition. Valid Nutrition takes the peanut pastes, they mix it with milk powder and a cocktail of minerals and vitamins, and they pack it in small 80-gram sachets. These sachets are sold to organizations like UNICEF, the Clinton Foundation, the Ministry of Health, and they're used to save malnourished children.
So I'm very, very impressed in the Value Nutrition, the way I see how they take care of quality issue and hygiene also, particularly the food hygiene area before you enter the processing area. As a food scientist, the interesting area here is value addition. It will be a source of income for farmers.
We are saying, you farmers, we are ready to procure, even if it means double the price, as long as a quality peanut.
They seem to be very, very professional in what they are doing. And I think that is a very, very important thing for a collective venture. I can see the spirit of working together in the groundnut sector in Malawi.
You know, if we can have those kind of factories to add value to our groundnuts, I'm sure that is going to boost the groundnut industry back home.
Selling raw nuts is not very beneficial. And I think we should go to the other level of adding value, because it brings more income and then also it has more effects in the economy.
So I think it's been very worthwhile. I was particularly impressed by the way that the Gambians interacted with their Malawian hosts. I'm sure the Gambians learnt a lot, but I'm sure the Malawians learnt a lot too.
We have seen the participation of the private sector here, ranging from the seed provision up to the level of export. We have seen different players in the sector, all specialized in their various areas, which I think is one thing that we should also encourage in the Gambia.
ñu wan ñu li nga xam ne moo fi nekk te danañ ñu ubbil seen xol wan ñu ne ñii ay gan la ñoo xam ne dañ fi ut si xam-xam.
The way quality issues are prominent here, they are not that prominent back in the Gambia, because we've seen, even when we went into the field, the smallholder farmer was talking about aflatoxin, and I think this is something that is really good. Awareness for quality.
On our first day here, we went to see PPECB, which is the accredited laboratory for groundnuts, and it was very important for the Gambians to be able to see this, to see a full-scale laboratory in operation. The PPECB personnel were very good. They showed us everything they do there.
We want to enable our clients, who are the exporters, to become the preferred suppliers of perishable products worldwide.
The lab is accredited, And as we have seen, they're doing one of the best laboratory testings compared to any other lab in the world. Back home, if you need to do such kinds of tests, you need to go outside the country to do it in an accredited lab. So it means, therefore, the efforts we are trying to do is to make one of the labs accredited.
If we can bring in our laboratory technicians to learn from them or to be through their system, so that we can also upgrade our system in the Gambia.
It was also important that we visited some major processing operations. Of course, we saw Aflatoxin in Malawi, but that's still relatively small. And it was good to see the full operation at C. Steinway. They have the whole process. Very importantly, the blanching operation, which is a major important factor in ridding ourselves of the aflatoxin problem. And they had the grading. We saw the grading in operation with the advanced machinery. We saw the advanced colour sorters as well in operation. So it's a very good opportunity to see the whole process of what is essential nowadays if you want to get into the edible peanut business.
When you take off the tester, this is a tester. When you take that off and there's a different color, like that one is blue, you see that blue? That's unsound.
They've got a good control mechanisms in terms of how they store and how they make sure that each customer's consignment doesn't mix with the order, and the way they handle the entire processing facility is quite marvelous. They don't only process for themselves, they are processes for other customers, and I think this is one thing that the facility we have in the Gambia can also go into.
We also had a couple of unexpected bonuses in that LMC, the major producers of sorting machinery for groundnuts, were in South Africa, and we were able to meet them, and Lewis Carter gave us a rundown of what you need to do a proper processing facility for groundnuts these days. We also met up with Adri van der Venter, who's the vice chairperson of the South African Groundnut Forum.
A while ago, we decided voluntarily that we want all our facilities, processors and selection facilities, to be HACCP certified.
It's a group of the industry, farmers or processors. They all come together and they discuss the problems within the trade, and they also lobby government. So that was good to see that side as well. We're now sadly at the end of the mission, but I have to say I feel it was an invaluable experience for the Gambians. They've now seen a very wide variety of the groundnut sector in other parts of Africa, and this really is essential for them to see what they have to do when they get back home. It's great that organizations like ITC are becoming involved, because it does need a kick-start. The Gambian industry has been in slow decline, I have to say, and now they see what they have to do. There has to be the support to follow it through so they can really catch up.
The experience was comprehensive in terms of looking at the groundnut from field to the final stages where it is tested and finally exported.
Well, we have learned during the trip, and we feel that there are certain things that are possible for us doing in the Gambia. And we are grateful for the help and support that ITC has been giving us all this time.
the International Trade Centre. Export Impact for Good.